Let's get opening our hips today. I'm going to be using the WundaCore blocks, and we're also going to grab our WundaCore for this quick sequence of how to open up our tight hips. It's not only about stretching, we're definitely going to work. All right, so straight away, we're going to grab our WundaCore, and we're going to go into an archetypal squat. So that means we're going to take our feet nice and wide, more open than your shoulders, and we're going to use our WundaCore for balance, support, and to encourage us to get deeper than we might if we just had empty hands. So we're going to take the WundaCore down onto the ground. Our legs are long, our back is flat. And then maintaining that neutral pelvis. Notice I'm not just kind of collapsing into the WundaCore. I'm keeping collarbones wide. I'm adjusting my feet a little bit as we lower down into that squat position. So in my own skin, I can flip the WundaCore this way, and it's now parallel to the floor rather than perpendicular, or I've been practicing this for several years now, and so I can also pick the WundaCore up. So you've got options here, but I love the tension in the middle of the ring that allows me to kind of have this debate between the inner thighs and the hips and the shoulders. Even if you are bendy and you can get your tush all the way down to your ankles or the floor, it's not what we're after. We want to be in a position that we're working. You want to work while you are doing this. We don't want to just hang out and passively stretch. So my hips are working a lot, my core is working a lot, pelvic floor is broad, collarbones are wide, and I really am using the biceps and the shoulders and the middle back to help me hold here. Lengthening and reaching the tailbone away from the crown of the head, making sure we didn't drop into a hanging position through the hip, making sure that the soles of our feet are equally melting into the ground. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then we can set that WundaCore down and slowly extend all the way up and rise up. So straight away, that's going to kind of create some heat through the hips and some mobility. Now I'm going to start using the blocks. So I'm going to take the block under my right foot, and we're going to go into some hip dips. And the reason I'm putting it under the right foot, so I have the curved side up, the reason it's under that foot is to help me train the connection of the arch all the way up to the hip, the arch and the ankle into the pelvic floor and the hip. I've got a light touch on the wall next to me because it is pretty wobbly up here. And with 2 straight legs, we're going to go into a little hip dip. So we're going to exhale. The left side of my pelvis is melting down. And then inhale, level out the pelvis. Both legs are straight. Ribs are right on top of your pelvis. I'm going to try to show this from the front. It's going to be very wobbly. Keep working on your end, just so you can see with a little more clarity exactly what's going on. So you want to be centered on your block with the arch of your foot, and then we're going to melt the heel down and then pick it up. All right, I'm going to continue to use the wall as a nice balance support point. These blocks are new to me too, so I'm still getting my bearings and figuring out how to best find my balance as I have the arches working really hard, melting down and picking it up. Here we go for 4. If you don't have a block, I should mention that you can still do this even if you're flat on the ground. You can just bring that left knee back, and then you'll just do this without having to have a lift under your standing foot. So you can melt the heel or the hip down and bring it back up. Last one. Exhale, bring it down. And inhale, pick it up, hold. 5, level belt line. 4, left knee or foot is hovering. 3, 2, and bring it all the way down. So you can use a wall, you can use a countertop, whatever you have handy. Continuing to use the block, we're now going to turn it to the curved side down, and it's going to go under our right knee. So we were just standing on it with our right foot, and now we have it under our right knee, and we are going to get our knee centered on the block. Okay, get your knee centered on the block. And we have options. You can have the interior side of your left foot down, or you can pick that up for more balanced challenge. Try your right toes down, and then if you want to, eventually you can pick them up. But we're going to go into a little forward fold. We're going to exhale as we lower down and inhale, pick it up. I'm going to put my left inside foot down so that I can pick up my right toes and find more stability challenge through the right hip. Let's send all of our energy and focus to the right thigh bone, sinking in to the right hip socket, into that right half of our pelvis. Inhale as you lift. You can come into prayer. You can have arms nice and wide. Exhale as you crease down. Just a few more like this. All of that focus is like that right thigh bone is sinking and absorbing into the pelvis. Keep your toes up if that is accessible to you. On the right foot, keeping the toes off the ground. So we've got a big balance challenge. Hold the next one down and forward. Hold and breathe. And we're going to rotate the ribs and the arms. Hold and breathe in that rotation for 5. Your head is in line with spine for 4, for 3, for 2. Unwind it back to start. Lengthen and open through the waistline. And then we're going to bring it all the way down. All right. We are going to go into a 2-point kneeling position. So I'm going to use the curved blocks under my knees. You can also do this flat on the ground. But what this is going to do is challenge our balance and really connect us into our deep hip insertion point. So just holding with your toes off the ground is a major challenge here. And I'm kind of rocking front to back to find that challenge. Drawing the pubic bone up and in. And then we're going to take our arms up and overhead. And then we're going to side bend ever so softly. That's an inhale, arcing to the left, exhale through center. Inhale, arcing towards the right, exhale through center. What we're doing is opening up space through the hips on the outer line of the hips relative to the waistline. So the trick is to keep your pelvis level, even as the ribs fan. Rather than allowing the pelvis to kind of lift and lower, you want to keep it level, and that's helping to open space relative to the core and the hip connection. Last one, arcing to the left, and bring it all the way back up. Hold for 5, 4, yawn, open the front side of those hip points. Last 2, and bring it all the way down. All right, we're going to be on our left knee. You can remove one of the blocks. We're going to be on our left knee in turnout, and then we're going to take the right leg all the way long. So left knee is in turnout, get it centered on that block. Ooh, this side is very wobbly for me. So this is my trick hip. My left side does not always want to cooperate. I have an old injury there. And so we want to exhale as we bow forward. So it's a lot more challenging for me to find the stability here, which also gives me good data that means I need to focus on it more. Exhale as you reach the sitting bones broad, the pelvis rolls over the thigh bones, and that left thigh bone is sinking deeply into the left hip socket, the left half of the pelvis, or you can think of it like a dome. I encourage you to try to keep your left toes up off the ground if that's accessible to you. Keeping the head in line with the spine. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. We're going to go one more like that, then hold our rotation. Exhale. Fold forward, pause. Rotate the ribs to the side. Think about that left thigh bone absorbing deep into the pelvis. Head is in line with spine for 4, 3, 2, and we're going to unwind back to center and bring your torso all the way upright. Okay, let's go ahead and go into that hip dip on the other side. So again, we can bend our knee if you don't have a block handy, but if you do, we're going to keep the right leg straight. So we're going to stand over the center of our arch of our foot on the block, and then we're going to flex the standing foot or bend your standing leg if you're not on a lifted surface. Here we go, hip dip. We're going to exhale, reaching the right side of the hip to the ground as the left side of the pelvis rolls over the thigh bone, and inhale, bring it back to start. Exhale as you bring it down, and inhale, bring it back to start. There should be a lot of core intention here. A lot of your deep abdominals working with your inner thighs to send the pelvis down and then bring the pelvis back to upright. I'm going to demonstrate a few with the leg bent. So if you're on a flat surface, if you do not have a block handy, this is a way to achieve the same focus, because it's not about the right heel reaching down. It really is about the left side of the pelvis rolling over the top of that thigh bone and using the core with our hips and our inner thighs. Here we go for 2. Last one, hold and breathe for 5. Leg is long or bent. 4, 3, 2, and go ahead and bring the foot down. Last thing today, we're gonna grab a loop and our blocks. If you don't have a loop handy, I know I'm throwing it in as a wild card, but I love this. I've been practicing this lately in studio, and I'd like for us to try it together here. So we're gonna take a loop around our calves. Take your loop around your calves, the widest part of your calves. And then once that's true, then we're gonna take your block. The curved edge can be towards you or away from you, but we don't want it touching, the curved edge touching your legs. So the block is gonna go the wide way, just a few inches above the knees. And I'm shaking before we even got started. We're gonna go into a teaser hold with this, guys. So what we're gonna do is take our hands behind our thighs. We're gonna lengthen our back, and we're gonna melt the tailbone and the pelvis ever so softly. And if you're thinking, what the heck does this have to do with opening up our hips? Let's get into that teaser. So we're gonna exhale and pick up our legs, going into a bent knee teaser position. So what I'd like for you to look for is the debate that your inner thighs and your outer thighs are having, and that is also then connecting to the hips. And so I want you to find that little debate, because we're sending energy out on the loop, and then we've got the feedback of the yoga block or the balance block between our inner thighs. Okay? If you want to, you can take the arms long. And here's where I'm gonna help you connect to the hips. So by using these tools, we're teaching our outer hips and low belly to hold our legs up instead of gripping with the front side of the hips. There should be no gripping on the front side of your hips. Adjust your pelvis, adjust the position of your legs to make sure knees are aligned with big toe, second toe, if you're feeling front side of hips. What I'm after is the elongation of the glutes. We're working the glutes eccentrically to have length and reach as we are conditioning the core. And if you can, bring your knees a little closer to your chest and improve the flexibility of your hips. You can even take your strong arms and middle back and drag the legs in, maybe make your spine a little bit longer, and just send energy to the fact that the glutes are working at length. We're opening up space in the hips. We're increasing the flexibility in the crease on the front side of the hips for 3, for 2, and go ahead, bring that down. That should have felt spicy, but also delicious. All right, last thing we're gonna do, because this is a quick one today, is finish in a nice child's pose. You have the option of having your hips back and your arms forward. You can also always bring your hands underneath the base of your skull. I said base of skull, but I meant your forehead. Collarbones are wide. Lengthening and just allowing a release through the hips, through the low back. For 3, 2, and go ahead and come all the way up. Beautiful job, you guys. I hope your hips feel powerful and more functional than they did when we started.